We have with us today Melodie Ng and also Allison and Amos, who are from the Common Table of Flemington Park Ministry. And they have quite the presentation for us today. So please, Melodie, take it.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're really happy to be here and share about the Common Table Farm and kind of our story of how it all got started and what the farm is about and who we serve. So yeah, we'll kind of walk you through that. I'm just going to actually start with a video. I'm going to show it later on, but rather than switch back and forth in my screens, I think it might be easier to start with that, and then we'll go through a slideshow, lots of photos and stories for you. And yeah, I imagine we'll have time for questions at the end, but I mean, this can be a conversation, so if something comes up in the middle, if you want to ask a question, feel free. Yeah, so I'm just gonna share my screen and hope this works okay. Can someone just let me know that this is working okay? Yeah, okay, great. So this little video, Allison and another team member, Caitlin, made this video just to give you guys a sense of our community, Flemingdon Park. And we wanted to bring in some voices from the community, some of our core volunteers, and staff who are actually residents of Flemingdon Park, and we'll let them speak a bit about the neighborhood.
My name is Benazir Yusufi, and I live in this community for over 20 years, and I work in Flemingdon Park Ministry for almost 13 years.
My name is Marta Lozada. I'm from Colombia. I came to Canada in 2009. I've been here around, I think, more than 5 years. I would say around 7 years working with Flemington Park Ministry.
My name is Ishrat Meshkoti. Actually, I involved with the ministry first time I came here in Canada. I started my volunteer job 4 years ago.
My name is Tufika Rahimi. I am from Afghanistan. And I came to Canada since 2003, and I came to ministry. I am almost more than 9 years in volunteer in this community.
The reason that I am working in this place because I live in here, and I have passion to work with this community.
The people that live in this community, seniors, immigrants, a lot of immigrants. And that's mostly the people that I see that live here.
There is many new generation and mostly adult people from Afghanistan, Pakistan. We are connected with them through the exercise class and food distribution. At this time, in my perspective, I'm thinking the big challenges that I can highlight. It is a job, income, and food security, and also the big challenges is rent.
All the people is needed help coming to this community to solve a problem, is like as food or finding job.
Based on the experience that we have had with the seniors building, I think the most challenge that they have is they don't have help. Talking about buying groceries, going to the stores. When we're talking about winter, it's terrible for them.
One of the things in this neighborhood, people, they don't have job, proper job. That's the things, bothering everybody, bothering me too. No income family, and another thing, barrier of language.
They are settled in Canada for almost 10-15 years. They are well educated and they are suffering.
But this community is very helpful for people everybody welcome for them. But I love it to work until I'm alive, until I am healthy.
I love this community. They are very hard work communities. The people from another background, they are very strong, and they love to learn. They love to learn, and they love to join with different programs, activities, and those stuff. And that's why ministry is here and stand for them.
I would say that the strength of this community is that they're able to help. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. If you ask them to come and help and do something for the community, they're ready to do it. Everybody here that we ask them to help, they're ready to do it.
We have so many, positive things, from Flemingdon community. We have supportive community people. We have very kind and supportive, and they want to help each other.
I love all the personal of the community people. You are very helpful, just kind, and peaceful. Everything. We see all of the people here. It's for people working, hard working.
I'm working with the food program, food distribution program for almost 2 years. And I can see how much people are appreciating our vegetable from our common table farm. I thought maybe nobody gonna come just for a bag of vegetable.
Everybody loves it because it's fresh and taste is totally different, and it's helpful for those families with low income. Vegetable is so expensive.
I can see how much people love to have fresh food from our vegetable from our farm. They love it. It's a big benefit for this community. I wish to run the arena program, food distribution, after the harvest season is done. This is my big goal, that at least we can run the distribution until end of this year.
We are able to do it, yes. We can do it. We can help them, but we need to create a program to help them in that way.
I wish we have more agency like that, because we need more places like that to serve our community.
My name is Benazir.
That gave you a nice little snapshot of our neighborhood. I'm just gonna start our slideshow. Growing the Common Table Farm, reimagining and renewing church land. So we just really hope that through our sharing of our story in the land beside Church of Our Savior, that maybe this will prompt you in your own communities and your own context to think about land that maybe you have access to, and perhaps there might be a dream or a vision there of your own. So just wanted to start with the land acknowledgement. The Common Table Farm acknowledges the sacred land we are honored to work on, and which provides our community with so much nourishment. This land is situated on the traditional territories of the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabeg, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. We recognize that many Indigenous people continue to live on this land and are leaders in the work of food justice and care of the earth. Our community is comprised of many people newly settled to Canada, and we are grateful for the opportunity to create community and find home here. And I'm going to actually turn it over to Amos to speak a bit about, more in general, about our whole ministry and the different programs and activities that happen. We'll go for Amos.
Thank you, Melody. I appreciate that. You've done brilliantly well so far. I hope everyone can hear me so far. Okay, all right. About Flemingdon Park Ministry. My name is Amos, as everyone can see. So I'm sure we'll have a lot to chat about after the presentation. So Flemingdon Park Ministry has been a building community alongside the people of Flemingdon Park for over 40 years. Anglican leaders at the time made the decision to be community-based rather than develop a traditional parish and church building. FPM is a safe place for all people to gather, and through our programs, we seek to bridge gaps that separate people and their access to healthy and affordable food. Our focus is to decrease social isolation and food insecurity in the community of Flemingdon Park. Our current programs include daily drop-in, seniors recreational class, English conversation class, our women group, cooking class by Zoom, volunteer opportunity for community. I would just briefly like to share more light on this slide. Before COVID, that was before 2020, I joined Flemingdon Park over going to 3 years now. I've been with Flemingdon Park, and I joined through IIN program called a new immigrant program to bridge into employment in Canada. So when I came back in 2018, after finishing my course in U of T, and I was looking for a place to work and a place whereby I can actually display the quality and the talent that of what I've studied. Then I stumbled on Flemingdon Park Ministry. So the fact that what attracted me, because as at then I saw many opportunities of job employment, but I choose this because they connect with people. They connect with people individually. They want to know what you're going through, how you want to transition into the country. Because the main focus of FPM is how can they help you to navigate you through the system. Like whether you're thinking of your low income, you thinking of how to access some program, how to access our food, how to access our clothing, how to navigate yourself through some program that you need to do in order to find your way into your career path. Because when you come to Canada, you're lost. It's a new system. So all these programs are what they do on a daily basis, and which we connect to people by dropping in center. People come there on a daily basis, and we attend to them. We do referrals. Apart from the referrals, so I was employed then as a farm assistant. So, and it's so unbelievable what we've done with Common Table between 2018 until now. So things take a different turn after COVID because of a lot change. And FPM still find a way to connect to people in the community still. That was when we introduced our food AMPA program. We try to connect to people by they're not coming into the office, but we go to them by their doorstep in order to reach out. So food security has been the core base of FPM. At least the first thing, once you're failed, then you can think of what's next. So if Melody don't mind, you can move on to the next slide. This program you're seeing now, this is during COVID, this is what we came up to, that, okay, we need a vent where there will be enough air transmission so that people don't contact too close to each other or shock each other. That was how we came up with the program of wellness program by the senior building in order to exercise, get people together. At least by coming together, they get to chat, they get to talk to each other, not just sit, because a lot of people have been depressed during this over a year period of COVID that has been happening. But FPM has managed to connect with the community by this wellness program. People come out, we discuss how they say, we do Quran program on Friday, we do wellness exercise program with the seniors once every week. So we also do the food distribution, but we just making sure on a weekly basis how to connect to people, know what you're going through, because a lot of our seniors are just there in the house. Nobody's attending to them, but by going to them, delivering food hamper to them on a weekly basis, it has really allowed us to touch base with them. What are the things you need? Don't just think you are alone by yourself. FPM is there in the community to reach out to everyone in terms of food security, in terms of awareness program, in terms of every other thing they might possibly need. And if we don't have a power to deliver that to them or to help them, we refer them. That's one thing with FPM. We refer them to where they can get help, and we follow up with them as well. So this is us here doing some food hampering program in the senior building. And on a weekly basis, we reach out to over 100 family on a weekly basis. And that it has been a positive turnout, and the positive thank you letter has always been coming on a weekly basis as well. You can see this was when we all started the program of food hamper, because we started in our car. Like this is James Arena during this time of COVID. Like, okay, we'll load up our car with free food, veggies. A lot of people even thought we're selling. We are not selling. We are just looking for a way to connect with you guys. It's not about the quantity of the food we give them, but also to know how people are really coping during this pandemic of a thing. Because them coming out, it takes at least a lot of stress away from them as well. By coming out, reach out to people, talk to them, see, are you guys okay? How have you been coping? And by that, some people, once they talk to you, you can see the containers, they're happy leaving the arena, and after getting some fruit and veggies, of course, anyway. So it has been a great program so far. I think I will hand it over to Melodie again. This Flemingdon Park, the other program.
Thanks, Amos. So yeah, this slide is just to give you a little kind of situate where Flemingdon Park is. For those of you who are familiar with Toronto, just kind of close to the Science Centre, that neighborhood. There's a number of high-rise buildings. And this data is old. It's a few years old, but it's kind of the most current thing I could find online through the City of Toronto, just to give you a little snapshot of where Flemington is. I don't know if you could see my cursor. Can you see my cursor? Yeah, okay. So there we are, like in the larger picture of Toronto. And the population, and the next slide will give you a better idea. So a lot of people living with their families and seniors. In terms of comparing to the city rates, higher percentage that are experiencing a lower income, as well, higher percentage are visible minorities, and people living in apartment dwellings that are high rise, higher than 5 stories. And on the other side there, just to give you a sense of where people are coming from and the languages they speak. So this is a very diverse neighborhood. And as Benazir and Martha, the volunteers, were speaking about, the neighborhood is just, yeah, people from all sorts of different backgrounds coming together. So it's a really beautiful community. That we have a privilege to work in and kind of get to know folks. So the farm, I imagine you joined this to hear about the farm. So we're going to kind of step into that story. And as Amos said, the farm got started in 2018. And in this first season, it was really small. It actually started before these raised beds got built. The very beginning germination of the farm was just growing microgreens in the drop-in center. So Issei Twolde, one of our former team members, he had a passion for microgreens. And when he joined the staff and was hanging out in the drop-in, he thought, oh, like, why don't I just grow some veggies in the drop-in space? They had, FPM had no land at that point. So that's what they did. And then, people were interested in that. And then Beverly Williams, our director, she just had this passion for wanting to respond more intentionally about the food insecurity that she was observing in the community, and wanting the ministry to focus on that particular social issue. So she had that vision, that dream, wondering, oh, what if we could just grow some food for our folks? But finding land in the neighborhood at that time was challenging. So she literally went on Google and looked around at churches from the sort of satellite view, and happened to come across Church of Our Savior Don Mills, noticing there was a kind of a green space beside them. And it turned out she had a connection with the priest who was residing there at the time, Reverend Vernon. So that just worked out so well. He was very supportive and willing to let FPM come and just kind of build a few raised beds. So that was the first year, getting a grant, getting those beds built, some soil, seeds, and just kind of trying it out, seeing what we could grow, and then what the response was from the community in receiving this fresh produce. And Beverly, she often talks about how, you know, even though she brought this vision to the ministry, she feels like she didn't really do anything. She felt like God kept opening doors for the ministry to get this project underway. So there's Beverly there planting some of the first seeds. And there's just this parable I've included, Jesus's story about the kingdom of God and how it's like a farmer planting. And you know, whether that farmer sleeps or gets up and works, it doesn't matter, the seed will grow. And we don't know how that happens. The earth just produces. First the leaf blade pushes through, and then the heads of wheat are formed, and finally the grain ripens, and then it's ready to harvest. So I think this story that Jesus tells is so applicable, both in the practical sense of growing, which the farm team gets the honor of witnessing all the time, just that beautiful mystery of growth. But also I think it applies to projects like the Common Table as a whole. You know, these dreams there, people come together and they have a vision, and they something beautiful just kind of grows out of that. So here are the raised beds that year in kind of full bloom and producing. So you can see how bountiful it was just even in that small space. And some of the early volunteers and community members were helping harvest. And to the left, you can see that there's still all that green lawn that's doing nothing. And, you know, in fact, Church of Our Savior is spending money to pay a guy to mow the lawn. So what, you know, perhaps that could be used in a more productive way, which is taking us into the second season. And I'll turn it over to Allison, and she'll walk you through that year.
Thank you. So 2019 is when I first joined FPM for their Common Table project. I was hired on as a summer student and was originally supposed to only stay the summer, but I ended up coming back for another season because I loved it so much. So next slide now, please. So as you can see, this is kind of the beginning of when the Common Table Farm plans of becoming an actual farm were underway, thanks to, again, as Mel mentioned, Reverend Vernon, who you can see here holding the sign on the right, and the rest of the Church of Our Savior, Don Mills. So yeah, next slide again. This is, when I say in the midst of planning, I literally mean there was still tall grass, there was nothing there yet, and the beds were just being mapped out and planned about how we could use that land. So this is me here with the shovel and one of our old staff members, Chris, literally turning the soil. You can go ahead again. We tilled a lot of the main beds this season, thanks to our staff and also so many of our volunteers. And very quickly, the in-ground operation was underway. Next slide. To help with this growth of the actual plants, which is our goal, we also had to mix in garden soil into every beds. So we were so lucky because we basically got to dig every bed twice. The first time tilling and the second time turning it over. So to actually till the beds, we got to use this amazing machine, which is literally a small tiller. It was a little overwhelming at first. Again, you can see Chris and I here on the left. One of us always was digging up the ground and the next was behind raking and making sure the beds were being built properly. But soon, as you can see on the right here, it got a little less overwhelming and we could see our vision coming together. The ground was being broken, the paths were being built, the grass was slowly going away. And I think around this point in the season was the first time we were like, this is happening, here we go. Once the beds were turned and filled again, we finally got to plant some of our garden crops. I believe this was our first round of kale and bok choy that first season. But then you can also see we had an irrigation system put in place, which has been so helpful to this day. We have full control over it. So we get to really decide what our plants need and we get to give them the proper amount of water, or if it rained a lot, we can turn it off. So that's been a great help. So you might be asking, well, what did you do with all the grass? How did you get rid of it? Well, we didn't. We got a little bit creative. So the next slide here shows we did so many loads of, we picked up loads of bricks that one by one we put down in these pathways to try to mitigate some of the grass regrowth. There was also a lot of wood chip laying over the pathways to try to just create like a stronger structure of what the paths and garden beds were supposed to be. And it's worked, but it's still a bit of a constant battle. We're weeding all the time, putting down new wood chips. Bricks have been lifted and laid back down. But year by year, I think we're learning a little bit more how to manage that. And little by little, we're getting rid of that grass because we prefer to see the farm. So as things continued to grow, we realized we have all these produce. We're now starting to give it away. So we built this little do-it-yourself washing station out of some extra like chicken wire and wood we had laying around. Here you can see Martha, one of our staff members, actually washing the veggies that we later packed up to give away. It's right next to the hose station, so this came in handy to be able to deliver our fresh but also clean produce. It just added an extra step in our operations. So here you can finally see kind of the full vision come together. Green is our favorite color and it was lush this season. And I'm proud to say that I think at this point, now in 2021, we've gotten even more productive. And this photo, I remember it being a really great full circle moment of how much that work that we put into digging those beds and planting those beds and turning in the soil was really worth it, because everything was growing so beautifully. And we were finally able to harvest that produce and kind of accomplish our goal of bringing food out to a greater population, to more people. So before COVID, we distributed our produce in a market system. And this market system was very unique, and I still love it. I hope one day we can do something similar, because it was operated sort of as a farmer's market where people got to come and choose their veggies, decide what quantity they wanted. We would be on the backside of our little setup kind of helping them out, but it wasn't purchased. Community members got to pre-register with us for the market, and based on their family size or how many people were living with them at the time, they were given a certain number of points, and they got to trade these points for produce. So that was really special because people got to choose what worked for them. So if their kids really love tomatoes, they could spend all their points on tomatoes if they wanted. And that's pretty cool, because it wasn't just handing veggies to them, they got to come and be a part of it. It was also a time that we got to connect with the people that we were serving face to face. We're up in Don Mills farming in a garden, but this was a time that we actually got to speak to people and see them get excited over our vegetables. But it was also a really important time where we got to hear their feedback. So I remember the season before I joined, there was a lot of talk about how much the community really loves eggplant. So when we started digging up those beds the first year, we made sure to plant a lot of eggplant because that's something that they wanted. And that's still something that we're kind of adjusting around, is we like to listen to what they need or what they want, and then ideally implement that into our farm to be able to give it back to them. And yeah, that was kind of our design of the 2019 season. The next year, things changed a little bit, but I'm very thankful that we had this season kind of in normal life to really set the foundation of the farm, because I think without it, the success of the Common Table now would look a lot different.
Guys, want to take questions as we go along, or would you like to wait till the end of the session? You get to choose, Melodie.
Yeah, I think we could take a question for sure.
Could you say a little bit more about this point system? I don't think I fully understood.
Sure. So we had anybody in the community, so in the Flemingdon Park community, that's where the market was held, and people were able to come into our office where we kind of took their information. How many people do you live with? How many children do you have? And we had kind of a rank system. So if you were like a single adult, you'd get, say, like 10 or 15 points. And if you had however many children, we might bump it up to 30 points. And then each, I guess, item was given a point value. So like 3 tomatoes could be 2 points or something of the sort. So if you had 30 points, you could spend them all on tomatoes and we would give you those tomatoes. Or you could choose like many different items. And we did the point system kind of to add that value of like a purchase and like earning it, and like we wanted to really give it a sense of like autonomy and inclusion in that. Also, obviously it helps with supply, and yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Thanks. So we're gonna step into the 3rd season, 2020, last year, and as Alison alluded to, the year of everything changing for everyone, I think all over the world with COVID. But it was also a pretty exciting year for the farm because we, through some grants, were able to kind of work on the infrastructure at the farm and kind of to improve our yields and our production. I'm just going to click to the first photo. And actually, I'm going to pass it over to Amos again so he can talk about the first few infrastructure developments that we had.
Yeah, thank you, Melodie. This is, you're looking right at 2020, just before the pandemic. This was January. It was during the winter. Then we discovered that, okay, 2019 was a great year. We had achieved a lot, and just want to grow bigger. Then we start thinking, planning, can't we have our own greenhouse as well? We can always build it. Then the team had to like, okay, thanks to Beverly, then that 2020 Melodie to joined, and they kept on applying for grants, looking for money, because to have all of this thing done, believe me, it takes a lot of funding to get it to this stage, what we've done so far. Then we start asking for price of how to get a smaller scale of a greenhouse. And that's me right there anyway, building it. Anyway, so with my other colleague, then we started it we had a lot of things planned. But by March, when the weather was a little bit better, COVID had started, late March. Then everything may take a different turn, U-turn, like it wasn't what we planned, and we actually adjusted our plan. Then we can't allow a lot of people to come to the farm. It's only me and a couple of volunteers and the staff. Then the workload was a little bit hectic, but we get it done, get the concrete on the floor, try to build it, screw up all the greenhouse. And that's, since 2020, it has been a good one, and we've been using it up to this very moment. One thing Alison might forgot, in that 2019, we had given close to 10,000 pounds of produce to the community. And those were the things that drive us. Those were the drives we had, like, wow, if in 1 year we can give up to 10,000 pounds, I think we can do more. But unfortunately, pandemic hit, but still, we're growing. And Melodie, if you don't mind going to the next one. And we thought, okay, fine. If we cannot grow a lot of things in the greenhouse, then we can even make our own grow light to start our own seedling. Then, because what happened late in 2019, we had planted a lot of we had made a lot of planting system like seedling. There was a school near our office in Flemingdon. Unfortunately, everything we planted, we were not able to access it because of COVID. The school were locked up, kids were not unable to go back to school. There was no way we could access our seedling. So then it was so challenging. Now, okay, we have to re-strategize again, start light growing seedling in the Church of Our Savior, right next to our farm. So we did it, and that's one of our old staff. It was a good asset to us. He left of recent, but he contributed so much into the process as well. And I'm sure all of us know we already missing him anyway. So yeah, that's the light growing system, doing the seedling, continue the seedling here. This when we transfer it to the greenhouse. We continue the seedling in the greenhouse because we need the heat. So it's more warmer in the greenhouse, then more light, so that the plant can grow so well. And we continue. This is the greenhouse in full. Now we're making use of our greenhouse. That it was a vision, and the vision became reality. Now we can grow our own stuff in our own greenhouse. We don't have to go to any place to go and borrow space again. We have it on our farmland, and we grow a lot of grains. As you can see, we just want to focus our attention on grains. So sweet pepper, name it, eggplant, okra, a lot of them. This is what we do. Carrots, sweet chard, and fresh vegetables. And you'll be surprised, in every week, we have more than 2,000 pounds on a weekly basis of weighing produce we give out. So those are the things that excite us. You just want to go home one day after harvesting the produce and be fulfilled, like, wow, you've reached out to people one way or the other by giving out food. So, and people are connecting, like people want to volunteer, but it's a lot of hard work put into this, because we had to reduce the staffing, we had to reduce the volunteer, then that create more workload on us, thanks to Melodie and Alison right there. So it has been hectic, but it's exciting. You know fully well that, okay, what I'm going to do, it's beneficial to people's life. people get to eat from what I'm doing. That is one key thing that keeps you going. That was the mission of Reverend Beverly. And that's why, as my colleagues have spoken highly of her, she takes it so passionately that she loves what this thing, and we supported that mission, and it has become a reality. If you can go to the next slide, Melody. That okra you see on the other slide, we've tried it for a couple of times. We actually tried it a couple of times before it worked. We were not sure where to plant it. We planted it, died. A lot of planting died, but you don't give up. Because sometimes, what is it we didn't do right? Each year we say, like, okay, last year we tried okra, it didn't work out. Should we give up on okra? No, let's try it again. And we tried it again. And this year, wow, we had a lot of okra this time, right? You can go back to the next slide. So, like that is Allison right there. This is another way of, okay, fine, the season is going to an end. What do we do? How do we continue to be out there to get people to do something? That's when Melody came up with this idea of hula hoops, farming. So what we do is, when, as the season is going to an end now, we plant a lot of like greens. There we have like a kale. Kale can survive the winter if it's properly covered. So we get open like transparent plastic to cover it up. Even when there's snow, it can still survive it. Then we check on it like time to time. So as the season is going to an end, we don't completely shut down. We've never had to shut down completely. We kept on growing some greens that can survive the season. And the grass, to kill a grass is not easy. We do a lot of weeding. We keep pushing to make sure this place has become a reality. That everybody can now see in the neighborhood that, wow, something is happening right there. And this is, you can imagine, that from the first picture in 2019, it was a full of grass. This is it now becomes a garden. Like that's all those trailing infrastructure, that's to hold our plants in order falling, because there's a lot of wind. So we use this system in order to make sure, okay, we don't have most of our plants on the floor, in order to grow something neat and healthy for people, to, in order not to attract the insect or the in the farm. So that's why we came up with this system. We had to, you keep using that thread every time, checking on a weekly basis, changing the thread, because it gets weaker as the produce get bigger, more on the plant, then they get bigger, and you just have to keep redoing it till the end of the season. And isn't this beautiful, guys? From just a plain grass to this. So that was the mission, and it's accomplished. So if this can happen, I'm sure there are many people who have a piece of land who doesn't even know what to do with it. They just keep cutting the grass. Like a guy came to us sometimes like that and said, wow, do you know how long we've been passing through this plain ground? Never know that something like this can happen here, you know? So, but thank goodness for somebody's vision that became a reality. And this is us. This is how we connect again. Melody here has been so helpful in connecting with other partnership farming, that people who, because we don't plant potato anyway. So, but we tried it a couple of times. Maybe we must try it again, but it never really succeeded pretty well. But we connect to other farming, try to see what are the things they want to donate. We never buy any of this. Melody reached out to them, and they were so keen, they were so ready to help us and say, okay, guys, if you don't have this, we can give to you. As long as they see that we're donating it. So this we pre-pack it, we reach out on like twice a week to our arena, to the seniors building, just to, even Melody has extended this to some food banks as well. In somewhere in Markham. So we are extending like on a yearly basis. We've added this since 2020, and even this 2021, we do this as well. We also added this potato to all our grains as well in order to just to increase the productivity, what we give to people, you know. And this is our, wow. This is what attracts people every season. They just want to take a picture of your, wow, all this beautiful flower. But one thing is this, sometimes when we plant this thing, you feel like they're not gonna grow. Sometimes we just leave it, it's dying. You say, oh, hopefully we won't have much flower this season, just to have our planting look more colorful and beautiful out there. But eventually, towards August, you just started see them coming alive. Like, wow, sunflower look beautiful. And this is one of our staff right there, planting the flower as well. We're just trying to see what we can add on every year to make it more bigger and more. This is what I was talking about earlier, extending the growing season. Like now, anything from next week, which is November, this is what we start doing in November season in order to protect the kale. So look how beautiful they are under the envelopes. Even when there's winter, oh wow, this is a perfect picture of that, you know. The farm is so full of snow, but there's a plant right there. Isn't that beautiful? So that's our drive and our mission. We're doing this. This is what is going on, and it's happening real big in Church of Our Savior. And that's what we want to advocate to everyone who has joined today, that this is a mission that can be extended. We are introducing a learning hub. Melodie has come up with a strategy of how we can reach out to the school. There's a school right next to us in our farm. We are reaching out to them, learning kits of how to do this. Number one, it's a form of exercise. Number two, you get to grow your own plant, your own food. Number three, you can come and socialize with people on an open. It doesn't matter where you come from. I'm from Africa, but I relate well with everyone. Nobody's discriminating. No, this one is this, that one is that. So it's a platform to integrate and meet with other people from different part of the world. Over to you, Melodie.
Thanks, Amos. Great. Yeah, so just stepping into this year that we're still in. So hopefully you can see like how each year the farm just keeps something new is happening, or we're trying to improve or explore a new aspect of what the farm's potential could be. So this year, probably the kind of main little special project we've been working on is creating a pollinator garden. There's one in the back corner of the farm that was still grass. It's awful monoculture grass that we want to just do away with and transform. So this year we worked on creating a pollinator garden and a labyrinth. So that first part of the process is just killing the grass with this turf and covering it up for pretty much the entire summer. And so you'll see the other pictures, then one of our former staff helping lay out the labyrinth pattern. And the grass is mostly dead. It's not entirely dead, but we've got it pretty dead. And yeah, mapping out the pattern and then having to trench these bricks into the ground, create the labyrinth. And this is Caitlin, one of our team members, and she's planting some wild savory, which is a native plant, in the pathway. So over time, this will fill in and create a green pathway. It's a wild herb, so there'll be a bit of a scent as well as you walk along the pathway. So yeah, there's a kind of before after image to show you just, yeah, from dandelions and grass to something a bit more interesting and hopefully inviting to the neighborhood, to the kids next door at the school. And so that back along that fence line, you'll see some of the native flowers that we planted in the spring, and they're already quite established. And next year, I think will be really in full bloom. So kind of in keeping with that image a bit further back of the native shrubs that we were planting, you know, all of this helps our farm as well, the productivity of the farm, just attracting all the bees and butterflies to come and pollinate our fruits and our vegetables, and also just supporting the ecosystem, and trying to increase the biodiversity of our land. And that's part of, I think, caring for our community too. We have our human community that we're feeding, but also there's lots of wildlife and birds and insects that we want to support as well. We've had a resident groundhog this year who's been our friend. He didn't actually eat too much, and he kept the squirrels away, so we want him to stick around. And here you'll see some labels, some garden signage that we've added into the native Pollinator Garden, and that's, you know, the hope is to help educate visitors, to learn the names of different plants, just kind of get to meet and learn fun facts about plants that are good to grow in Ontario. There's Allison and Amos planting, and you'll see got the new flowers mulched. And right away, like, we noticed, you know, monarchs coming to the milkweed, and on the right side, you'll see these two different kinds of green bees on that onion flower head. So, you know, a lot of native bees are not what you expect. They're not always that fuzzy yellow, black and white striped bee. And they're not honeybees. Honeybees are actually a European import. So it's, yeah, important to plant these native flowers that support all these insects that are around here. And I'm going to pass it over to Allison to talk about a little bit more about the Kids Hub.
Thank you. So this year, we also had the opportunity to start thinking about our program a little bit outside of just the actual farming of it. And I think it's been mentioned a few times, we're located right next to a school. So something we were and are still kind of hoping to do is to start interacting a little bit more with kids. This first photo here on the left is an extension that we built onto our shed. That's just going to be a children's hub. It's going to be their space. There's places for them to put their backpacks if they wanted to. We're hoping maybe we'll get some tools that are made just for the kids. And it's just a way that we're going to get them kind of outside and connected to nature a little bit more. And something else that we did, you can go to the next slide, please, is Mel painted these beautiful signs that we kind of put in and around our garden to label what the plants that we're growing are. And we included their names in different languages because, as we've mentioned, we are part of a very diverse community, and it's important to acknowledge that. And this isn't just good for kids. We've had neighbors walk through who also love the signs. I also personally love them. They're really fun to put in every year. And yeah, so that's just another way to kind of get people to identify what they're looking at and get excited and get connected to our farm, our garden. And honestly, nothing that we've done would have been possible without the amazing team that we've had, both the mental effort and the visions that people have created and acted upon. That's just as hard and just as important as the physical labor that we've put into it. We know that because of this team at the Common Table, we're not finished. Like, there's so much more that we can do, and we're just excited to keep going. And that stands true as well for our volunteers. we wouldn't be able to do half of what we do without them. They are also amazing. We are so blessed to have them come and help. And not only that, but keep coming back and keep supporting our goals and our visions for where we can get to as an organization.
Just a couple of quotes here, food for thought to leave with you. Wendell Berry says, a proper community, we should remember also, is a commonwealth, a place, a resource, an economy. It answers the needs, practical as well as social and spiritual, of its members. Among them, the need to need one another. In Norman Wordsworth writes that food is a gift of God given to all creatures for the purposes of life's nurture, sharing, and celebration. When it is done in the name of God, eating is the earthly realization of God's eternal communion building love. And yeah, I think that speaks to the work that we do day in, day out. Sometimes we don't feel too connected to it, but when you kind of step back and look at what has been accomplished with this team and with Beverly's vision and everyone who's just kind of contributed, yeah, really see that it's a work of love for each other and for the community. And Amos, I'm going to turn it back to you just to open it up for questions.
Thank you so much. That's inspiring, encouraging. I know that a number of people on the call will have questions. I wonder if it's possible for you to put Melodie a way to contact you after the session is over in the chat so that people could ask you more later on. I'm sure we could all look up Flemingdon Park Ministry, but if you would just put a contact, that would be really good. And we have time for some questions. We've got 10 minutes before the session is officially over. If there are others, if there are people on the call who would like to ask some more, please do.
I have a question. So the church where I'm serving is in North Toronto, and it's like it's in a neighborhood where it's not obvious that there is people experiencing food insecurity, but we do have a lot of land. In situations like this, where like the need isn't obvious, but the resource is available, how do you encourage a community to use our lands for food ministries? Or is that even something we should consider?
Melodie, you want me to answer that?
Go for it if you can start.
Thanks for that. That question is a similar situation to where we are right now. Like us, Church of Our Savior, where where it's located, the food security is not an issue there. It's not an issue at all because people in that neighborhood are okay, very okay. It's an okay neighborhood. They don't need it, but don't be surprised. It takes us to drive from our main office to the farm site. It takes about 17 to 18 minutes drive. So we have to transport the produce to where it's needed. So when the resources is available, there are a lot of places that they need it, but there's no resources. And that's why we kind of advocating for this. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm actually answering your question, but yeah, there are people who have the resources is there. There's nothing they want to use it for. They can afford to have their own meal. They can afford to do whatever. But the thing is, there are people who can afford to, but they don't have access to that resources. They don't know people who they can contact. They don't know how to navigate the system. And that's why the Flemingdon Park Ministry want to be an advocate for that. You can be an intermediary for that. It takes us see how we started on a very small scale, growing gradually, and people are so much into it now that in a season, we grow more than 10,000 pounds and we give it out. There has never been any week anything got rotten or we don't have to give it out. So when resources is available, it's a great start. How to navigate it to where it's needed will be the next step. I don't know if anyone have anything to add to that from the team.
No, I think that's great, Amos. I think maybe another point to mention would be, that often in food banks or even our distribution that we get donations through Second Harvest, often donations that are food that people can access. It's like a lot of canned goods, non-perishable stuff, but to actually get fresh produce can be difficult. So I think what Common Table offers, and there's another community farm connected to Flemingdon Park called Flemingdon Farm. That's a project of food shares. And so I think these types of projects where it's getting the fresh, organic local produce, that's expensive to buy. And so for a lot of people, that's just not a reality. That's not something they can access. So I think it's great when you can find ways to make that accessible to others. And I think it's also important to kind of in permaculture, which is a farming approach, they teach that you spend time to understand the land around you before you kind of begin things. And I think that applies to both land and your community. So just kind of getting to know the folks that are part of your community, your church, what they're passionate about and what they're drawn to. Is it food, like getting involved in food justice issues, or is it the environment and like maybe just creating a little bit of a native plant garden? There's and like Amos said, just starting small, right? Like kind of seeing where people's interests lie, because definitely this, as you can see, this stuff takes a lot of labor. So you really have to come at it from where your heart is and what's kind of exciting you and your community. And then I think also connecting to different possible partners, like so maybe there's a program, kids school lunch program, I don't know, food bank, or just there could be other people already doing something in the neighborhood. And maybe it's just kind of coming alongside them and seeing how could you support them? Maybe it's giving some space for neighbors who live in an apartment building nearby who don't have access to land to grow, veggies for themselves. Maybe it's just giving little community plots to people. So there's lots of different options, but it's good for it to come out of what's exciting your congregation.
Wouldn't want to take away from anything that you've said about that, Melody, but I think that there is a key role that needs to be played by somebody like Bev, who didn't take no as the answer that was the final answer for anything, and that there is all of what you say, yes, is true and important and critical. But there needs to be somebody there who persists through all the local opposition and all of the temptations to say this is too complicated and we can't do this anyway. There does need to be that piece as well. I think Erlen was about to ask another question, so I'll be quiet and let Erlen ask another question.
I was just going to say thank you for that answer and for this presentation. This was very thought-provoking and inspiring.
What do you guys offer, or can you offer for communities and parishes in the neighborhood? I know that you have lots of work to do so that you don't need to be giving tours all day long of the garden, where instead of doing the work, you're walking people who are visiting through the garden. But are there like open houses or perhaps even a market where you might actually sell some of the produce to people who come by to visit and to see what's what? But again, I recognize that you got a lot of work to do and a lot of weeding to do and digging to do. So you don't want to spend all day talking to people like me.
We do set up just kind of informal tours for folks when they're interested and they reach out and they want to come by and walk through the farm. And that's no problem at all. Right now, it's not very pretty. It's not very nice to walk through. Everything's on its way out, but the winter is also kind of the farm team's downtime. So if people are interested in talking through their project ideas or want to learn more, it's also a good time just to connect, just in terms of having conversations, one-on-one conversations about ideas. And yeah, we actually do have, I don't think there's probably time to show it, unfortunately, but we do have another little video that Allison and Caitlin made, which is lovely. Just to give you it's meant to give you a little walk through the farm. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe I can send that link to you and you can forward it by email somehow to the people who attended today.
Right, and
yeah.
people can in fact get in touch with you. You've left in the chat hello@thecommon-table.org. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for the views of before and after, which are inspiring and lifting and encouraging for all of us. Thank you, and may things continue to grow well. May you continue to have success in the efforts that you undertake. And thank you, everybody else, for coming today.